What is telogen effluvium and how should you go about trying to fix it? Hi, my name is William Gonitz. I am the CEO and founder of Evolution Hair Loss Institute. I'm a fellow with the World Trichology Society, and I've been helping people regrow hair for over 21 years. Now, telogen effluvium is a stress response that can be triggered by a variety of individualized circumstances that will ultimately lead to potentially losing up to 33% of the hair on your scalp in approximately 9 to 12 months. Now, telogen effluvium is unique in the sense that there are certain aspects of it that will actually make things become worse, because if you have an underlying condition like nutritional hair loss or DHT related hair loss, a telogen effluvium will amplify those issues, expedite those issues, and not regrow on its own unless you've treated the underlying reasons for those other losses that it amplified. When you're looking at telogen effluvium, first you have to identify, is this actually happening to you? The way that you can really pinpoint it is if you are shedding quite a bit very, very quickly, and you went from a scenario where you were not noticing any hair loss to noticing a ton of hair loss on your pillow, around the sink, in your brush. Typically, what would have occurred is usually 90 to 120 days prior to that, you would have had a stressful event. Now, that could be a car accident, it could be childbirth, it could be emotional issue, whether it be a death in the family, high stress conditions, you name it. Basically, if it was stressful for you, it was probably the trigger for telogen effluvium. And once this telogen effluvium starts, it will slowly ramp up to where you notice quite a bit of hair coming out at first, and then you notice even more hair coming out, peaking around 3 to 6 months, and then it will slowly stop in another 3 to 6 months and then begin regrowing. Problem is, again, if you had an underlying genetic predisposition for hair loss on the top of the head, or you had a nutritional deficiency that was just teetering on the edge of actually causing some hair loss, then now you are stuck not being able to rehabilitate your scalp without treating that particular cause. So my recommendations in this particular situation is to 100% get some blood work first. Go ahead, get a CBC, zinc, ferritin, vitamin D3, B12, and folate. And when you get those, you want to make sure that you're in the middle of the range. I have tons of videos on nutritional hair loss and exactly what the ranges should be, but I also have the ranges down in the description. But when you are looking at those, if your ferritin or vitamin D is essentially less than 60 on either one, then that was leaving the door open for you to have a telogen effluvium, because you're statistically at a 70% increase in the probability that you will be subjected to a telogen effluvium when those numbers are low. So you want to get those up, because that in itself could stop or control the telogen effluvium much, much faster. Additionally, there are a handful of other treatments that you can go ahead and take care of, because those things are going to help slow down or stop telogen effluvium. First of all, my number one would be something with topical melatonin in it. We ended up utilizing in the clinics for many years a topical melatonin application, and usually that would slow down or stop telogen effluvium within about 2 to 3 months. There's a product called the Nutra-M topical scalp serum. The Nutra-M actually stands for melatonin. That's its active in there. And then a new product that's coming out here soon enough called the Folligrowth Follicular Performance Serum. And if those have melatonin, that is going to help slow things down. Now, you could go ahead and slowly introduce topical minoxidil as well. Topical minoxidil will help control telogen effluvium, but at the early onset of the topical minoxidil, you will lose tons of hair. Now, that hair was going to come out anyway, so don't worry about it, but you will notice even more shedding, at least for the first usually 7 to 10 days. And internally, make sure that you've got your nutrient levels to where they should be. Use something like the methylated version of the Folligrowth vitamin, which will ultimately be a buffer internally to protect you against your telogen effluvium issues moving forward. Now, a last line of defense when you are dealing with the telogen effluvium is you could use, again, very low intensity, low level laser therapy, usually twice weekly for 10 to 15 minutes. Do not use any lasers over 80 diodes. Typically, my preference is using something a little bit calmer, like 50 or 60 diodes. It is going to stimulate and rehabilitate the scalp and really move you along further, faster, and quicker, because what you want to do is stop the shedding as quickly as possible and control the telogen effluvium so that you don't end up with a reoccurring or chronic telogen effluvium situation, which does happen in a small percentage of the cases. So if you've liked this content, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. If you've got questions, go ahead and put them in the comments, and I'm happy to help in any way.